السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أسس الجغرافيا السياسية والنظرية السياسية الرابعة وأكثر من 30 كتابا في الفلسفة والاجتماع السياسي والفكر مع الكسندر دوغين مؤسس الحركة الأوراسية الجديدة ومن بات يعرف بالعقل المدبر لسياسات الرئيس الروسي فلاديمير بوتين الجيو سياسية من الداخل. معكم زينب صفار، تابعونا. في الخامس من حزيران يونيو عام 2007 أعلنت الحكومة الأوكرانية أن المفكر الكسندر دوغين شخصية غير مرغوب فيها ومنعته من دخول أوكرانيا لمدة 5 سنوات. هذا الرجل ليس مجرد فيلسوف، فهو من أطلق عليه دماغ بوتين أو العقل المدبر، المقرب من شخصيات نافذة ومؤثرة في الإدارة الروسية، بالإضافة إلى أكاديميين ومشاهير. رد على ذلك قامت السلطات الروسية بحسب المتابعين آنذاك بترحيل المحلل السياسي الأوكراني سيرجي تاران على الفور، وأعلنت وزارة الخارجية ذلك. وإن دلت تلك الأحداث على شيء فهو عمق التأثير لدوغين في بلده الأم. فدوغين الشخصية الكاريزماتية والموهوبة والمثقفة يتقن 9 لغات وألف 16 كتابا مضمونها سياسي فلسفي. على الرغم من مواقفه الحادة والصدامية أحيانا، إلا أنه من المفضلين لدى المؤسسة الروسية الحاكمة. دوغين المنظر السياسي والاجتماعي وفلسفته تعكس التيار المسيطر في السياسة والثقافة الروسية بحسب المراقبين، وتأثير الرجل وفلسفته على الشعب عامة وأصحاب القرار في الكرملين آخذة في التصاعد. ويقال إذا ما أردت أن تفهم روح العصر التي تسود في روسيا اليوم فعليك التعرف أكثر على الكسندر دوغين من الداخل. الكسندر دوغين يتحدث من الداخل للميادين عن حياته وشبابه والنظرية السياسية الرابعة والحركة الأوراسية الجديدة وتأسيسه اتحاد شباب أوراسيا وأهدافه والتحديات التي واجهها وتأثيره في السياسة والحكم الروسي ومدى قربه من فلاديمير بوتين. Professor Alexander Dugin, Russian theorist, philosopher and political activist, welcome to من الداخل or from the inside, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's a great pleasure to have you, sir. Professor Dugin, I would appreciate that before we go into delving and talking about your theories, your philosophy, your politics, I would like to know more about Alexander Dugin, the young man, in 1979. For a certain reason, because of your thoughts, you were expelled from the institute where you were studying, but this did not stop you. Tell me more about that.
Yes, I was born in the typical Soviet family with military man father and medicine mother, the typical atheistic and Soviet socialist family. But from early youth, I didn't share ideas with my family. And I have started to find a different road, different way in life, different way of thinking, and that was completely against society where I lived. So I was converted into Christianity, in Orthodox Christianity. I have discovered the ideas and the books of traditionalists, of the thinkers of that were against modern world and in defense of tradition, sacred tradition. For example, René Guénon or Julius Evola. They were my spiritual guides and teachers, and I was in absolute opposition to the society where I was born and when I lived in this time. So exactly that was not so much my political activity that was the reason for my putting out of university, but much more my complete alienation from political or ideological or social life around me. So I have concentrated myself on the self-studies the studies of languages, of tradition, of philosophy, of theology, and in the communist era, that was rather unusual.
Right.
And little, but I was formed then in the early 80s, in absolute opposition to the society where I lived. So that is not usual.
But
case.
what were the thoughts that have driven Alexander Dugin to be expelled from the institute as a student?
So, because we had communist
Back then.
communist education, and I have responded sometimes what I thought about materialism or Marxism, because for me it was ridiculous and completely irrational and not normal way of thinking. And little by little they have formed the attitude that they should be free from myself. By this, that was very, very good experience, to be against everybody, to believe in God, in church, in the sacred, in the tradition, in the middle of the society. There's absolutely beliefs and the progress and the materialism and the atheism that
Right.
mocked on God and church, and to be against everybody, not by negative, on the negative rejection, but with forming little by little the alternative core idea based on my intellectual intuition, based on my beliefs that growing without the help of the society. I have met some persons that were traditionalists, very rare. Maybe few of them for all our countries. But what was important, that finally, that was absolute rejection of the modernity with alternative acceptance of the ideas, principles, and beliefs with the roots in the tradition, in the sacred, in the faith, religious faith, in the theology. And when later I have discovered the works of Sohravardi, Iranian philosopher, and his concept of Western exile, that was completely the right image. I was being born in Moscow, in Russia, in the Soviet Union, with Soviet Russian Muscovite family of typical Russian atheist communist parents. I was completely strange. I was completely foreign. I was completely from outside.
Away from their ideology and state of mind.
Yes,
Now, as the author of more than 30 books, among them Foundations of Geopolitics and The Fourth Political Theory, you have actually dubbed your distinctive ideology with a variety of different labels like National Bolshevism, Neo-Eurasianism, and The Fourth Political Theory. Can you please explain to us what is the essence of your ideology?
I have dedicated, as you have rightfully said, many books on explaining my ideology. The core of it is traditionalism, so rejection of the modernity. I am regarding...
What do you mean to the simple person who is watching us now? What does it mean as traditionalist and the rejection of modernity?
That is not easy to say. In the West, in the last 4 or 5 centuries, that was the concept of the linear time, the time of progress, and that society is developing, that the future is better than the past, and that the past was a kind of myths and not correct understanding of the reality, false beliefs, and so on, and the modernity and the progress and development of the civilization going from down to the top of
from the bottom to the top,
from the bottom to the top, all that was a kind of new ideology. That is the essence of modernity, and that the man, individual, should be liberated from God, from sacred, from all the links with society, and this idea of modernization and westernization, liberalization of the life, whole life, was a kind of destiny of the humanity, and Europe was the first part of the world that has made already the important part of this path, of this way, and other people should follow Europe, and that is why we are obliged to be westernized, follow the West, the Western secular culture, to mock all the sacred places, and to be more and more independent from the traditions, beliefs, church, faith, and so on. That is modernity. The modernity is such, and not otherwise. So modernity is not contemporary situation, because modernity, it is a kind of special kind of civilization, modern civilization, that is based on the absolute rejection of the traditional society, because traditional society accepts the eternity, and modernity rejects eternity, not the past. Why for traditionalists the past does matter? Precisely because the past is the part of the eternity, and there is a kind of eternity in the past, in the present, and in the future. So for us, not the time is the last things, but eternity. For the modernity, quite opposite. Modernity is living inside of the time. The time is all. There is no being outside of the time. For us, religious traditionalists, for us, the being is eternal one, eternal entity, the eternal phenomenon. So being is eternal, and eternity is real. Is something existential, not only conceptual. So living eternity, we are approaching God, because God is eternal, and the faith in the God is the most important eternal God, and His eternity. That is most important feature of the traditional attitude.
And this is the essence of your ideology. Now, allow us, Dr. Dougan, to stop now for a short break, and then afterwards we're going to talk about the Eurasian movement, to which you laid the foundations. Okay? إذا فاصل قصير ونعود. لا تذهبوا بعيدا. البروفيسور الكسندر دوغين، المنظر الروسي والفيلسوف والناشط السياسي، يطلق على نفسه صفة المحافظ ويقول: نحن المحافظين نريد دولة قوية متينة، نريد النظام وعائلة صحية وقيما إيجابية، ونريد تعزيز أهمية الدين والكنيسة في المجتمع. فهل يعني ذلك ميله إلى المحافظين الجدد في هذا السياق؟
I think that in different countries the meaning
the neo-Christians.
The meaning of the neo-conservatives and conservatives are different, because we have different tradition, different name. For first of all, Russian conservatism is quite different from English or Britain or American conservative. Maybe up to this certain point they are quite opposite, because American conservatives defend liberalism, and Russian conservatism in any form, neo or hetero or paleo, rejects absolutely any kind of liberalism or individualism. So there is the difference. So I don't think that comparison between Russian conservatism and American conservatism could give a right idea about our positions. So I could qualify myself as Eurasianist, or as the partisan of the fourth political theory. What is it, fourth political theory? This word much better fits to what I am. So fourth political theory, what is it? Fourth political theory And in Russian case, the fourth political theory, it is Eurasianism. But, for example, I think that in Iranian case, for example, fourth political theory is Vilayat-e Faqih. Vilayat-e Faqih concept. For other tradition or society, fourth political theory could have different name and different form, manifestation. But what is the...
So there is an alternative for this fourth political theory in various cultures and countries.
Yes.
So
in different cultures, there are different form of fourth political theory. But what is the common for any kind?
The common denominator.
Common denominator for all form and kinds of fourth political theory is rejection of the three main political theory of the Western modernity. Three. First, liberalism. Second, Marxism. Third, nationalism or fascism. So it is anti-liberal first, anti-communist and anti-fascist. So, but if we put together communism, fascism and liberalism, we have every kind of political theory of Western modernity. And if we reject three political theory, all three of them, because all three of them are Western modern creations.
But how is this fourth political theory accepted and digested here in Russia?
As a coherent form of political ideas, it is little known, fourth political theory, but in the form of Eurasianism is much more popular, because now we have Eurasian Union.
Of course. This is what I want to focus on, is the Eurasia Party, which is later better known as the Eurasia Movement, was officially recognized by the Ministry of Justice on the 31st of May back in 2001, now 15 years. What is this movement and what is the geostrategic ideology?
If we continue...
Because we tend to hear now a lot in the politics, in the news, about Eurasia and Eurasian strategy and Eurasian politics, but the idea is not very clear to us.
First of all, Eurasianism was the effort to create some special political ideology from the 20s in the white immigration that struggled, fought against communists, but this part of immigration wasn't satisfied with traditional conservative Russian parties. They were neoconservative in Russian sense. They were neoconservative because they understood that the fall of the monarchy was not only external, had not only external reasons, but as well internal decay. And so we needed a kind of alternative, but not liberal, not communist, not nationalist, but they considered, Eurasianists considered that we need to find the new ideology, political ideology based on tradition, based on the sacred, based on imperial experience of Russia, but with recognition of differences of different cultures, ethnic groups and religions inside of that in positive way, not destroying them, not trying to assimilate, integrate in the sense of national unity. Imperial idea of Eurasianism is a kind to give the people let be the way they
to
want.
recognize the peculiarities.
Absolutely, absolutely. That peculiarities and differences positively. Not for that is pluralism, a kind of imperial pluralism, something complete opposite to imperial monism of United States of European civilization, and that was idea. At the same time, Eurasianism in 90s was represented only by myself during 90s, and with Putin has accepted that idea. He shares this Eurasian attitude in general, not in the details, and he has put in the practice Eurasianism, and he started to
Since he came into power.
Absolutely, from the beginning, little by little. He's very slow in this ideological level and dimension, but at the same time, we know that Putin has made many things in order to make Russia great again. And that was one of the most important ideas of Eurasianism. Eurasianism rejects universality of the Western civilization. That is a very important point. Eurasianists reject modernity in favor of tradition. Eurasianists reject the Western domination and instead Eurasianists defend multipolar world. And Eurasia should be one of the pole, not Russia, Eurasia. Russia with integrated post-Soviet space, maybe with different new kind of axis around it, in order to create the balance of the great spaces.
Today, Dr. Dougan, we are in a multipolar world.
Not exactly. Not yet.
Is it still unipolar?
It is not anymore strictly unipolar, but it is not yet multipolar. We are in transition. And that is a very dangerous period because unipolarity of United States isn't finished, has not ended absolutely. They try to conserve their hegemony. Americans, neoconservatives in the United States, they try, and with Hillary Clinton, if by the chance she will become the president, they will make the last effort to conserve the...
Are we heading towards the Armageddon?
Maybe. So Trump, that will be solution. But Trump will signify the possible virtual victory of Trump would signify the end of unipolarity. And with him, that will be a kind of seal on multipolarity, America for Americans, Russia for Russians, Eurasia for Eurasians, Islamic world for Muslims, and so on. But with Trump, with Hillary, they will try absolutely, it is clear, to conserve, to save their imperial hegemony. So we could not affirm yet, not yet, that unipolar world, multipolar, it is becoming, the world is becoming, but there is so many difficulties on the way to the multipolarity that we shouldn't be too sure about that.
Too optimistic.
Yes, we should be realistic.
Yeah, we should be realistic. Now, back in 2005, Dr. Dougan, you founded the Eurasia Youth Union of Russia as the youth wing of the International Eurasia Movement. Now you have like 56 branches, 47 in Russia and 9 abroad. How does this union operate and how effective is it among the youth in Russia today and abroad?
We are trying to promote multipolar vision to the youth. We're trying to give education in geopolitics, in sociology, in politology, in theology, in philosophy, but quite opposite to the liberal network. We are fighting global hegemony and liberal network, as well as second and third political theory. But liberalism is enemy number one.
I have to thank you, Professor Dougan, for these great ideas, and we're going to keep on talking about more ideas in the next edition of من الداخل. إذن اللقاء يتجدد في الأسبوع المقبل مع الجزء الثاني من هذا اللقاء مع المنظر الروسي والفيلسوف الكسندر دوغين من كل فريق عمل من الداخل من كل الميادين من موسكو. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.